evening, everybody. Is this working? Wait. Yeah. Or shall I? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this Ocean Literacy Dialogue. And I'm very happy to welcome you here on behalf of the Intergovernmental Oceanography Commission of UNESCO, and also on behalf of the EU for Ocean Coalition, supported by the European Commission, DG Mare. And today we're really glad to be here to see all of you, very friends and partners and people that we have been waiting 2 years to see again in person. So this is kind of like an exciting moment for the ocean, for ocean literacy, and I'm really happy to share the moderation of this event with my colleague and friend, Anna Noronha.
Thank you, Francesca. It is really a pleasure to have you all, to see you all here in this auditorium, José Maria Gago at Ciência Viva. It is very good to see friends, colleagues, people with whom we have been working all these days, all these years, but not having the opportunity to meet face to face. So this is really a happy day. It is also a happy day because we have just signed before the European networks of ocean literacy, blue schools, people working with blue education in Europe have just signed a charter for alignment of objectives and strategies just to mainstream ocean literacy. That's what we are talking about.
Thank you very much, Anna. So I would like to start the official opening of the event with a video by the Special Envoy for the Ocean, Peter Thompson.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity of addressing you today. As the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy for the Ocean, it's my duty to lead global advocacy in support of the UN's 14th Sustainable Development Goal, SDG 14, with its aim of conserving and sustainably using the ocean's resources. You know, to succeed in its noble aim, SDG 14's message must be carried to the widest possible global audience. And it's for this reason that I place so much faith in the expansion of ocean literacy. The principles of ocean literacy are basic to our survival, and yet they're so often overlooked or misunderstood. For example, the first principle, Earth has one big ocean with many features. How often do we hear people talking about oceans in the plural without realizing how misleading that is? Everything in the ocean is connected. Its ecosystems, its currents, the water itself. Thus, when we talk in the plural, we confuse the connectivity, and that has implications. The way I explain it is that the ocean is like a big bathtub with lots of things bobbing about in it. So if you go up into the Arctic Circle, as I recently did, and you see the rate at which H2O, long stored in ice sheets and glaciers on land, is pouring into the ocean, it's like seeing a giant faucet pouring water into a bathtub. That means the level of the water in the bathtub will rise, and that has a direct effect on sea level rise in vulnerable places on the other side of the planet, like atoll republics and Asian river deltas that currently support the lives of millions of people. So yes, always ocean in the singular. Another ocean literacy principle that is very dear to me is that the ocean is a major influence on weather and climate. I was in Bonn this month to speak at the UNFCCC's first ocean climate change dialogue. And I'm very satisfied to see that the critical ocean climate nexus is now embedded by UNFCCC into the world's response to the climate crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a positive wave of ocean action sweeping around the planet. The first UN Ocean Conference was the moment when the world woke up to the need for ocean action, and there's been a flowering of awareness and action around the world since then. This year we've seen UNEA agree to the negotiation of an internationally binding treaty to control plastic pollution. And then in Geneva this month, after 20 years of negotiation, the WTO concluded an agreement to stop harmful fisheries subsidies. Let us ride this wave of positivity. Ladies and gentlemen, the ocean literacy principles are guided by the idea that understanding the ocean is essential to comprehending and protecting the planet on which we live. there is broad agreement that we need to put more resources into implementing ocean literacy as an entire society goal. At this time, when interest in the sustainable blue economy is growing, it's important that ocean literacy does not fall behind, further compromising both ocean sustainability and equity. So let us spread the message that the UN Decade of Ocean Science will give us the tools, the competencies, and the science that we need for the ocean we want, but we require ocean literacy to spread the universal message. I can assure you from personal experience that once people become ocean literate, they understand the vital importance of maintaining a healthy ocean. And that's vital in the true sense of that word, necessary for life. So I wish you a fruitful event today, and I thank you for your attention to my words.
Thank you very much to the Special Envoy for the Ocean, Peter Thompson, and now I invite the two co-hosts, Vladimir Ryabinin, Executive Secretary of the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission, and Charlina Viceva, Director General of DG Mare.
Yeah, and I know he usually have tendency to say it all. So maybe I should go, but I won't. But indeed, it is a great pleasure to have you here. And we are all, and once again, I have to say what I say very often. So what we always start as partners. But in the IOC, I think also in the ocean literacy community, we always end up as friends. That is what is happening with all of us, because, ocean brings together good people. And that's why it is all happening. So, first of all, it's my great pleasure to thank Anna, to thank Francesca, and to greet and thank Charlina Viceva, Director General for DG Mare. DG Mare is our dear, dear friend. And I think we are going to have a very intensive, a very important work together with them in the coming years, spearheading ocean literacy in the world. We have already fantastic experience in working together. We had a joint project on maritime spatial planning. And in 2006, we had, I would say, 6-7 countries knowing what MSP is. Now, we have around 70 countries that have activities in that area. So this is exploding. This is what this conference is doing also. This conference is expanding what is happening in our relations with the ocean in a very positive way. It's very human, also very ocean. So I would like also to really thank, I already thank Anna, but actually Ciência Viva was very instrumental in making this happen. Many big things are happening here, and the beauty and actually, the dedication of this place is enormous. I would like also to thank European Union for Ocean. So, what is happening? We observe a lot of networks, fantastic networks were presented today, schools around the world. This motion is growing. And I have to say that this takes me back to the 2017, to the conference of United Nations on the Ocean. IOC came there with several commitments. The commitments were to move forward on MSP, to start preparing and prepare the decade of ocean science, and to move forward on ocean literacy. We made it all. All the commitments. There were actually 1,600 commitments. I have to say, not all of them were fulfilled. But we are proud to say we fulfilled all of our commitments. Now we see that there is a development of the decade, the largest program ever in the history of ocean science, but not just science for curiosity. This is the science that takes us to the domain of managing the ocean. Managing in the positive sense, in a very friendly sense. Also on this conference I learned about a new dimension of innovation. I always thought of this technologically. This is not about this only now. Culture, ethics is also innovation. This is our new look at the world, in which we are a small part. So I would like to say that ocean literacy, as Peter Thompson said, is central for the decade of ocean science, is central for the future of the ocean. Because once again, I already said it once this morning at the presentation of the prize that we did together with our dear friends of Prada, See Beyond, the second edition of the prize. I said we can only protect what we love, and we only can love what we know. So with that, I would like to actually state that ocean literacy will be moving forward. It is central for the decade, for the ocean science, for all of us, and also for the future of this planet. And because of that, I thank all of you for doing what you're doing. This is really important for the future. Thank you. I appreciate that gesture.
And now we invite Charlina Viceva.
Thank you very much. I also extend my thanks for organizing and putting all your energy there. Vladimir, thank you for the nice words, and I particularly liked this human touch that we are friends, because there is emotion around this project. Whenever we speak about young generation, about children especially, it's very much an emotional exercise as well. And I have to tell you that in my previous career, I was working on education. For example, we had a huge initiative on digital skills, where we have actually connected hundreds of teachers across Europe, and I know what type of energy that can bring. And now I'm again into that, and probably just to mention something else, because in my previous job, when I was in the Joint Research Center, we initiated actually citizens' engagement activities to be systematically taken onwards. And when we talk about ocean literacy, it is citizens' engagement by square, because this is the young generation that has to be approached and has to be engaged. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to all of you today, celebrating ocean literacy. It is great to be here, and I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. I'm particularly pleased to see that our event today, jointly designed with IOC-UNESCO and EU4Ocean Coalition, is responding to a real need. That's why we are so numerous today here. It highlights the importance of ocean literacy and points out to the contribution to delivering the objectives of the UN Ocean Decade. The ocean is vital for life. I think that was so many times repeated, and it's never enough in this important week for the oceans. The ocean connects us all, as Peter said. We cannot imagine the world without ocean. We all use the ocean for food, energy, medicines, transport, leisure, to breathe. And that is why the ocean concerns us all, and especially the young generation. Yet, many people still don't know very much about the ocean, about the challenges it is facing, about the potential it is giving and it offers. And this shows the importance of the ocean literacy agenda that we are all promoting. Because action starts with understanding. Comprehension was the word that Peter used. We can success story, and I was part of it already in Ravenna during the European Maritime Day. That was the first award selection for this coalition and projects behind. Marvelous projects with so much energy behind. And we continue. That is only the first batch of awards and best project selections. And we have started only 2.5 years ago. So we are with a projection like this. Around the world, there are many pioneers and activists. And there is ocean activism that is really in a hype. Much like the partners of this side event, ocean literacy from all the continents and all the seas, and covering all of the ocean from east to west, north to south, all of us benefit from this enormous energy. This brings me to the second thing I would like to share with you, the special focus on youth, because this year is announced as the Year of Youth by the European Union. and it will offer a very high visibility for everything that will be focused and targeted to the young generation. Just before this session started, a Blue Education Charter to support the future development of the network of European Blue Schools was signed. I'm really sorry I couldn't manage because I was speaking in an interactive dialogue. It demonstrates actually the commitment behind to the development and application of ocean literacy in the classroom and in a much more systematic way. So this activism that is now shaping and taking a framework, it has to be shaped systematically, and this is what has happened just before I entered this room. So the momentum is there. The wider public is realizing the threats we face and how the ocean climate nexus can mitigate them. We see important breakthroughs in the sustainable development of blue economy. Everybody is now talking about the potential of blue economy. We see WTO agreement. I was congratulating the ambassador Santiago Wills that contributed so enormously to this, I would say, one-in-a-lifetime agreement. We have the UN Decade of Ocean Science, and SDG 14 give us a real framework for our efforts. What we now need is to seize the opportunities to spread, spread, and spread. That was another thing that Peter said, and I cannot but only align with him. We need this dialogue here today to continue, evolve, and involve more and more people, involve those more distant and unrelated so far to issues of ocean sustainability, because ocean is relevant to all. So this is the major message that we have to pass to our new generation. The decade and this UN Ocean Conference, this 1 week of pulling together the effort to popularize the importance of ocean, is here to protect our ocean, actually, to ensure a sustainable future, and for this reason, to increase ocean literacy. Let us take stock, celebrate, and debate ocean actions, and carry the message forward next year as well. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So thank you very much to our two co-hosts. And now I kindly ask to start showing some videos. The first one will tell you a little bit the history and the future of ocean literacy, and then we're going to see some videos about the EU for Ocean Coalition achievements. Please.
When I will be big, I want to be a fisherman, and I want to eat fresh fish all the time. When I grow up, I want to be an oceanographer to study where the waves come from. I will be a sailor to travel the world. Quand je serai grand, je voudrais.
But how can we make these kids' dreams come true? Are we really aware of how our day-to-day actions affect the ocean? It's 2004. In the United States, a group of ocean scientists and education professionals start to work to develop a framework to encourage the inclusion of ocean sciences into national and state standards, and for more teaching about the ocean in classrooms at all levels. This is how the ocean literacy movement was born. Since then, it has spread quickly through the development of marine science educators associations in Canada, Australia, Pacific regions, Europe, and Asia. These associations are consistently promoting, through collaborative and bottom-up processes, the inclusion of ocean literacy in formal and informal education. Scientists, educators, teachers, artists, journalists, governments, and the private sector have risen to the occasion and given life to a global network that converts ocean knowledge into action. Regions, countries, and cities are stepping up to experiment new ways of bringing ocean literacy into every citizen's life. Portugal translated the Ocean Literacy Essential Principles in 2011. The European Union, Canada, and the United States elevated ocean literacy as one of the cooperation priorities. In 2013, the Galway Statement on Atlantic Ocean Research was signed. Supporting the implementation of the Galway Statement led to two Horizon 2020 projects, Sea Change Project and Responsible, aiming to make European citizens more ocean literate. Canada co-developed by Canadians for Canadians through a community-driven engagement process in which over 400 organizations and more than 3,000 Canadians participated in the country's ocean literacy strategy. Australia has hosted since 1988 a Sea Week to promote ocean literacy in the country. Combining its global expertise in ocean science, culture, and education, UNESCO has led ocean literacy efforts around the world. Presented in 2017 at the first UN Ocean Conference, the UNESCO's Ocean Literacy for All initiative paved the way for the launch of the Global Ocean Literacy Portal. The publication of a toolkit for schools tested in 36 countries around the world, and the organization of an international ocean literacy conference held in the UNESCO office in Venice. This International Ocean Literacy Conference was a true milestone for the ocean literacy community, which started calling on governments to join the movement. The Blue Schools Network, promoted by the Portuguese Ministry of the Sea, the European Coalition, EU for Ocean, launched by the European Commission, the first ever ocean literacy law, approved by the city of Santos in Brazil, the first city in the world to establish ocean literacy as a public policy. Ocean literacy ambitions continue to grow, and the Ocean Literacy with All initiative is now underway to meet one of the major challenges of the UN Ocean Decade: reshape humanity's relationship with the ocean. Ocean Literacy with All wants to advance ocean literacy through international partnerships and networks, implementing transformative local and global activities and projects by and for diverse stakeholders. From grassroots initiatives to international, regional, and national initiatives, the ocean literacy moment has arrived. The Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission of UNESCO has launched a proposal for a new blue curriculum, addressing learners' core knowledge related to marine science, and also providing the tools needed to turn the next generation into ocean stewards. A true Generation Ocean.
Quand je serai grande, je voudrais être enseignante pour amener de l'océan dans ma classe.
Throughout the ages, the people of Europe have always had a special relationship with the sea. Our economies, our societies, our cultures have largely been shaped by our maritime history, by our influence on the ocean, and by the ocean's influence on us.
But we are facing a tipping point. Climate change, pollution, overfishing, habitat destruction, and the collapse of biodiversity are threatening the health of the ocean, and therefore our own.
Across the world, many people, projects and initiatives are already doing great things to raise awareness about these issues. It's a critical time for our ocean and planetary system. We need to do more. And this is why, in Europe, the European Commission has launched a new ocean literacy initiative that builds, connects and mobilises the community into action.
In 2020, the EU for Ocean Coalition was born, with 3 communities on board: the platform, the EU for Ocean Forum, and the network of the European Blue Schools.
The platform is the hub for professional marine and maritime organizations, projects and people to connect, share knowledge, and drive joint ocean literacy activities for more impact.
The Youth for Ocean Forum connects young people from 16 to 30 years old, coming from all over Europe, to create a new movement for the ocean.
And in the network of European Blue Schools, we mobilize schools into action for the ocean. In the network, we support schools that bring the ocean into the classrooms and into the students' everyday lives.
From infancy to maturity, the EU for Ocean Coalition will continue to grow, and it will continue to promote ocean literacy across Europe.
We are the ocean, and the ocean is us.
Today we're at the European Maritime Day, and it's the first European Ocean Literacy Summit that's taking place in the context of EU for Ocean. We've been going more than 2 years, and because of COVID and the global pandemic, we haven't been able to meet physically. So this is an absolutely amazing opportunity for all the partners to come together, all the members of the platform, the youth, the schools to connect, and then raise awareness amongst the marine and maritime professionals that are here at Maritime Day about the importance of ocean literacy for all.
The EU for Ocean Coalition is an umbrella group that hosts 3 communities: the EU for Ocean Platform, the Youth for Ocean Forum, and the network of European Blue Schools. So for the last 2 years, we've managed to consolidate a community online without meeting face-to-face. What we have done here in Ravenna, Italy, is we've come together as a community and we've met each other for the first time, and now we have the EU for Ocean family. We are now going to pave the way ahead and consolidate and have sustained growth and build and grow this family into a global movement.
The importance of this activity is really now to see this ocean literacy concept as a living format. So here we have heard a lot of different type of outreach happenings. They have been really different, but all together they are working on the same goal and same vision.
I think this group of people initially is very much building on marine scientists, then maritime sectors, and progressively we have to enlarge it to mean more people that also have a say in how the ocean will look like in the future.
So I'd like to finish on a famous Maori saying from New Zealand, which means we're all on the same boat. It's he waka eke noa, which means we're all in this canoe together. So let's get to work and see you very soon.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. So this was about what we have been able to achieve in the last years, but this event is really about what we are going to do in the next years, because ocean literacy is still a side event, and we want for the next UN Ocean Conference to be part of the official program. So this is the amazing things this community has been able to achieve, so we need to celebrate that, but we need to look into the future. And I leave Anna to introduce our distinguished guest.
Yes, and we have now the participation of the Portuguese Secretary. Welcome.
Good afternoon. It's not a session about just in time, but about ocean literacy. Good afternoon to everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. In the last days, we are here so many times. It's a place for inspiration, and I hope this session will be very inspiration for everybody, because the literacy of the oceans is very important, not only for the young people, but for all the people. Our President of República, 2 weeks ago, in the forum in Oporto, about the sustainable economy of the sea, said we need the literacy of the oceans for everybody. Dear friends of the ocean, it is my great pleasure and honor to count on your enthusiasm and interest in the Ocean Literacy Dialogue side event. This event is a part of this major conference that will shape the future of the ocean in coming years. And we are confident that your presence and participation will further contribute to increasing the knowledge to better informed decision making and action. Let me begin stressing out that investment on the ocean literacy is still an urgent priority when compared with other parallel systems. The lack of adequate scientific understanding and the public appreciation of the oceans can all lead to the citizens' emotional and rational disconnection from it and their environment and importance. Except for the set of the Ocean Fans Club, like us, the ocean is still that strange system, opaque and invisible, that presents more dangerous than goods. For example, tsunamis and hurricanes are immediately understood as coming from the sea, until sunny time at the city, on landscape and the mountain and the garden of the house is not emotionally and rationally understood as connected to the ocean, but it is. During this event, we will have the opportunity to learn more about the Ocean Literacy Program led by the Portuguese government, which involves the schools and the local communities. The initiatives developed under this project literate children and teenagers, but also adults around promoting a better understanding of the role of the ocean on everyday life, bringing them closer to the sea and encouraging a change of attitude towards this immense and unified space. This is just an example of a program, but I know that there are many more running around of the world. In the end of this ocean literacy is about empowering people with the knowledge and tools to better use that ocean knowledge to become more responsible and able to take decisions that involve the ocean reserves, and in parallel, begin capable of understanding how much the oceans influence our life and how much we can influence the ocean in both positive and negative ways. To conclude, it's worth to mention that the governments of Portugal and Kenya, together with the United Nations, have worked incessantly on the organization of this great event and are hopeful you take each and every opportunity to enhance your knowledge and expertise for the benefit of the ocean health. As such, I will keep my intervention brief by wishing you all very fruitful discussions. Thank you, and let's make the oceans health again. Thank you.
So, thank you again for these wonderful words and inspiring words that will help us now move into the session, and we have seen a lot of things that we have been able to achieve, and I have to say that this was mainly thanks to the ocean literacy networks around the world that are working with passion, with energy, with their wisdom to really drive a change in our society. So I now leave the floor to Anna.
Please sit here also. So we will now proceed with the panel with all the networks who have been invited and who in fact are part of this subscription of this side event. And I first call Nicola Breach from the European Marine Science Educators Association, Laura Rather from the National Marine Educators Association of the United States, Diz Glitterow, who is representing the Canadian Ocean Literacy Coalition and also the Canadian Network of Ocean Education, and Peter Tadenham, who is representing both the International Pacific Marine Education Network and the Asia Marine Education Association. So welcome to this stage. So please, one of you, maybe Nicole, who is here at my side.
So yes, hello. I've just come from signing. My voice was loud enough. I didn't even need it. I'm just so overexcited. I signed the charter earlier on for Blue Education on behalf of MC. I'm the president of the European Marine Science Educators Association, so that was really exciting. And then I had a glass of port, and now I'm here in front of you, and you are my people, and I just feel great. So, MC. We were one of the organisations really that I think it's safe to say brought news of ocean literacy to Europe. So we've been around since 2011, and our network, you can join if you want to, is made up of ocean guardians, ocean scientists, ocean educators, or ocean people as we like to say. And we're constantly trying to move ocean literacy into policy areas, into the classroom and into society. So when Francesca was saying about, you know, the future, what does that look like? For us, it's about everybody. So by that, I mean different generations. So oftentimes when we think about ocean literacy, we still sometimes think about children and the younger generation. And also people of all abilities. The ocean, the beach is for everybody, but sometimes it's not. So really sort of wrapping that all up, how do we help people to find their relationship with the ocean, which has been on this screen a lot already, which is wonderful. So that's what we're all about. That's the future. And if we can combine those things, different people, different access, then that's really where we're going to get a healthy ocean. So done, easy. No, it is not easy. What I think we haven't done very well in ocean literacy is tell our story. How can we get funding? That's, I've written this here, funding. How do we, you know, tell that story better so that actually the links for funders, I'm going to point at one there he is. How do we tell that story better so that there is an understanding that the more people that think about the ocean every day and make small changes, the healthier the ocean will be. At the moment, that's disconnected. How can we connect it? And that's what we want to do. We also want to work better with policy, and actually how can we use digital as well to kind of bring those people toward the ocean that might not normally access it. And then really the kind of the final thing there is working in partnership, in collaboration. The ocean literacy field is growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, and what would be terrible is if a pin came and popped it and we all disappeared. So how can we all keep together more? How can we connect those networks better? And MC wants to be part of that. And really our key thing is working in the classroom. But again, moving forward, I completely agree with what Peter Thompson said. It's about knowledge and understanding of the ocean, but it is also about valuing it and the emotional connections. And I think that's the future of ocean literacy. And that's what we want to do as the MC Network. So I'm really happy to be here and tell you those things. And I will pass.
Thank you. Yes, please do. Laura, please.
Thank you. And thank you, Francesca and Anna, for bringing us here together today. And thank you for our distinguished guests for helping us highlight this important work. Good evening, everyone. I'm a classroom teacher by day, so I'm much better talking to 11-year-olds, so I actually have a prepared statement. Oops. It's hard to navigate both of them together. Oh, good. I'm good now. So I'm here representing the National Marine Educators Association. We were founded in 1976 as a member-based organization of teachers, classroom teachers, informal educators, professors, as well as scientists, government agency staff, arts, cultural, traditional knowledge representatives, and members from business communities, as well as other stakeholders from around the world, working together to make known the world of water, both fresh and salt. Our members represent over 300 organizations and 20 different countries. NMEA is and has been an influential leader in the Global Ocean Literacy Campaign and is one of the original partner organizations in developing the ocean literacy definition and their essential principles and fundamental concepts. NMEA collaborated on the development of the Ocean Literacy Guide, which was published in 2005 and first publicly presented at the NMEA conference in Hawaii. And I'm very proud to say that I was in the room when it was first presented, and the people presenting were like, we have these guides, not really sure what to do with them, and I was like, give them to the teachers. So it was a really amazing day. In addition, NMEA has co-developed the ocean literacy resources, including the UN Decade-endorsed Handbook for Increasing Ocean Literacy, a scope and sequence, presentations, webinars, journal articles and books, and curricular materials. The organization also publishes Current, that's the Journal of Marine Education, so it's a peer-reviewed journal, which has many amazing articles about ocean literacy, and in marine and aquatic education research, ocean literacy, classroom, free choice learning activities, marine science, art, and culture. I'm proud to say that NMEA and the ocean literacy movement helped inspire the creation of MC, the International Pacific Marine Educators Association, the Asian Marine Educators Association, and Relato, among others. We continue to collaborate regularly with these and similar organizations in Australia and Canada, and beyond. NMEA members are involved in Ocean Decade activities, including the UN Decade Program, Ocean Literacy with All, and the US Blue Schools Initiative. NMEA continues to work towards advancing ocean literacy on the global stage as part of the UN Decade, and we strongly believe that ocean literacy is critical to the success of the decade. Challenge 10 specifically calls for a fundamental change in humanity's relationship with the ocean. To address this greatest of challenges, we must, as an ocean literacy community, develop stronger, more consistent, and more inclusive ways to communicate and share resources, and develop products, enhance mutually beneficial partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. NMEA has been very inspired for us, but we'll hear this glitter from the Canadian Ocean Literacy Coalition and Canoe.
Great, thanks Anna and Francesca, and such a pleasure to be part of tonight's event, and hello to everyone, thanks for being here, and thank you for the opening words by our distinguished guests. The two co-chairs and the director of Canoe could not be here, so they've asked if I would share a few minutes just about their organization, and they really were the champions of ocean literacy in Canada. They were the first national network to be established in 2014, inspired by NMEA and the work done there, largely on the shoulders of Anne Stewart, an early ocean literacy champion in Canada. It's a nonprofit that over the last 8 years, has grown to over 800 members, largely comprised of formal and non-formal educators and community practitioners. They hold biannual conferences. They've created a database of ocean literacy resources that are curriculum linked across provinces and territories in Canada, and host a lot of just fun, engaging events that connect and communicate different ideas and resources to teachers across the country. And they've been volunteer run since 2014, and only this year have they had a first paid dedicated staff member. So incredible work. I now have the pleasure to spend a minute to just share what the Canadian Ocean Literacy Coalition is all about. And we are a new entity, different from Canoe. We're an alliance of existing organizations, institutions, networks, communities across Canada that span sectors, government, academia, media, education, what have you. And the goal of this entity that was formed in 2018 when Canada hosted the G7 ministerial meetings is when the coalition launched. And we're a non-legal entity. Instead, we're a national project office, independent from any one organization. And we're research-driven to essentially do two things. First was to conduct a national study to figure out what the term ocean literacy really meant to Canadians across the country. We're a huge country, really diverse, longest coastline in the world, yet 4/5 of our population live nowhere near the ocean. So what does this term mean? Does it resonate? What does it mean with Indigenous communities? And then we took a stock take together across these regions as to what were the strengths, who's doing what are the gaps, what are the barriers, priorities. And then after that study was completed, took those findings and from the bottom up co-developed a national strategy. And we're the first country in the world with a national ocean literacy strategy, which we launched last spring and really helped provide Canadians with a framework at the start of the UN decade as to how we'll move forward. We thought that would be the role of the coalition, but and then there might not be the need for the project office after that. But what we found is to have this neutral convening entity is a real asset. And so now the coalition remains, and we will now kind of convene the implementation of the national strategy over the course of the decade, helping to drive projects that are all joint in nature, very collaborative, drawing on different regions and cultural expertise to help drive these different projects to advance the 9 action streams. And in terms of the decade, we're really looking forward to also contributing internationally to the growing ocean literacy research projects and initiatives, which I'll speak about a little later, and to tag teaming with other coalitions like EU for Ocean to better understand what approaches work, what kind of structures really enable success over the long term. And so those are the ways, as well as the Blue Schools and the Ocean Literacy with All initiative. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Diz. We will now hear Peter Tottenham in representation of IPMEN, and he will start by explaining why he's representing these two Pacific Ocean associations.
Yes, exactly. Yes, thank you very much. It's a remarkable pleasure to be sitting here talking about IPMEN and the Asian Marine Educators Association. I'm from the College of Exploration, and we've been involved in ocean literacy since the beginning, back in the late 1990s, actually, with the National Geographic. And that led to a lot of the work that you've heard about today. It's just absolutely, I shouldn't use a good English word, absolutely fantastic to see what you've accomplished in the last couple of years and the videos and see everybody here. It's a remarkable experience to see this all coming forward in this manner. So, yeah, for 30 years. And I was in Hawaii when the International Pacific Marine Educators Network was formed. And there was and also then, that's who I'm representing, and IPMEN is a self-organizing informal network. The group that was there from the Pacific area didn't want to form a new official organization, but decided to meet every 2 years. And it's met in Australia in 2008, Fiji in 2010, Chile in 2012, Japan in 2014, Indonesia in 2016, and Taiwan in 2018. And I've been to several of those. The next meeting will be in June in 2023 in Vancouver, Canada, to follow on from the NMEA conference, which is going to be in the Northwest United States in Washington, I think. So that's always trying to focus on a couple of things that make it distinctive, I think. The links that are created at every meeting are between traditional ecological knowledge and ocean literacy. And the design of the meeting is highly interactive, with Indigenous and local communities in the spirit of sharing knowledge, culture, science, and business perspectives, and looking at practical, active, mutual learning, engagement, and exchange. And having personally experienced them in a number of these countries in the Pacific, I can tell you it's a unique experience to really get into the communities and the traditional ways, and to get to learn and for us to exchange and take what we know and to have a genuine dialogue with members of those communities. It's been absolutely special and honor to visit these countries. So IPMEN and then the Asian Marine Educators Association, which was formed during the Global Ocean Science Educators Workshop and the National Marine Educators Association meeting in Rhode Island in 2015. I was there and encouraged that formation, so I seem to have been sowing seeds around, and I'm still on the board of MC, so we're doing a lot and doing what we can with what we have. And so both the Asian Marine Educators Association is a formal organization. They have a president, Tyoshi Sasaki, who's a good friend, and officers and a board of directors. And I'm an advisor on that AMA board as well. So they asked me to come and do this because they're not here. They couldn't be here for one reason and another. And there's members now from AMEA from India, Australia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Malaysia, Korea, Philippines, Japan, China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, South Africa, the UK, and the USA. The first AMEA conference was in Taiwan, and I was honored to go there and be there when that was started. Then the Philippines in 2017, China in 2019, and I'm now plugging the next conference, which is in August, 9th to the 12th. It's going to be in Seoul, South Korea, at the K Hotel and the National Ocean Science Museum, with 8 themes related to ocean literacy, and I'm really looking forward to that because I'm going. So and that's going to be exciting because the National Ocean Science Museum has been designed on those 7 ocean literacy principles. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then lastly, Harry Bridell, who has been instrumental in a lot of the Asian and Pacific work from Australia. He sends his greetings. He's been instrumental in the Marine Education Society of Australia, which was early promoter of ocean literacy, which has now merged with the Australia Association of Environmental Education. And as we heard, they promote Sea Week every year and are now working with the Australia Curriculum Association to include ocean literacy in the national curriculum. So there are glimmers of ocean literacy getting into curriculums, and this worldwide movement now, this worldwide network is just so exciting to see it all come to this level, and I'm looking forward to the next 30 years, if I can hang on. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Peter. So we have a flavor of what is happening around the globe down here. I will now ask the next, because, well, unfortunately, we could not have all our partners who submitted this side event that have been 22. But we just brought in some here to give a flavor of what is happening around the world and who we are representing on this side event. So please, I would now call the members of the panel with Dina Eparquina from Eurogoose, Yolanda Sanchez from Relato, South America, Ronaldo Cristofoletti from Ocean Literacy with All, and also the coordinator of the All Atlantic Blue School Network, and Olga Mashkina, EU for Ocean Coalition. So please, Dina, can you please start what you are up to in this side event?
Thank you very much. So I'm Dina Eparquina from Eurogoose. It's the European Alliance of the Global Ocean Observing System, which is coordinated by IOC-UNESCO. And I'm really thrilled to be here at this event. Fantastically attended. Now I really see that it's a full room. Promoting ocean literacy is an integral and crucial part of the UN Ocean Conferences and overall implementation of Agenda 2030. There is no disagreement that science should be better communicated and broader communicated. But we must expand the horizon of science communication towards multi-stakeholder dialogue. And this is what ocean literacy does. We all know the concept of new societal contract of science. That means that science should be participative, engaging science, engaging policy and society, and communicating in an understandable way. This concept is not new, it's been discussed for over 20 years, but even today we still observe that ocean literacy and public engagement are under-supported and under-recognized in oceanography. So EUROGOOS is an association of European oceanographic, meteorological and hydrographic agencies, and we have established an ocean literacy network for those agencies. And since last year, we coordinate a project called Scientists for Ocean Literacy, which is part of the UN Decade and the UNESCO program, Ocean Literacy with All. This project is helping empower scientists as ocean advocates. It turns out they don't communicate about ocean much outside of the work, or don't engage enough with the public. But when they do, this is not recognized in their careers. It is like a chicken and an egg story, isn't it? You need more ocean literacy to have science duly supported, but ocean literacy in science is still under-supported and underfunded. So our decade action is mainstreaming ocean literacy in ocean science and helping scientists engage more impactfully with people in their communities, but also internationally. We have 23 organizations and counting, and you can discover everything about it on our website. So now to conclude, ocean literacy is not about information, it is about transformation. And it can really help transform science towards more inclusivity, diversity, and multidisciplinarity. Transform society and economy towards more sustainability. And if we duly support ocean literacy in science, also help us transform the ocean from the one we have to the one we want.
So, please go ahead. Yolanda, go ahead, sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anna and Francesca. I want to start just sharing with the whole room how happy I am to be here, because sharing this panel with all those giants on marine education and networks, it's so special for me because I started just admiring all of them and asking and sending emails to all of them to asking for advice and how to continue. So they inspired me a lot, but also I'm so happy because we have some people from our network who came from Latin America today. So you can raise your hand, you will say hello. So that makes me so happy that they are also here with us. And yeah, we started with the idea of creating this Latin American Marine Educators Network in 2019, thanks that I participated in a grant with the NMEA event in the conference. We started to think about this idea of creating something specifically for Latin America. So I convinced my friend Celeste Kroger, who is co-founder of the network, and we started to design this idea of Relato. And just during the first years in 2020, we designed the web where we start to collect a lot of resource for having this resource in marine education available for teachers or people who want to do marine educations and cannot find on the web or somewhere. And we started to invite some people to be country coordinators of the network. And so they could help us to spread the word of Relato. So Relato really born with two main ideas on mind. The first one, it was to exchange experience, to learn between us, to collaborate, to share initiatives. And the second one, it was to make more visible the role, the important role of marine education and marine educators. So we moved Relato to trying to bring the voices of marine educators to the tables where decisions are making, especially related to marine conservation. So in 2021, we had some help from people who support the network, and we want some fund helping by the Ocean Leaders program from the University of Edinburgh. So we designed a very short report to try to to collect the vision of marine educators from Latin America about how marine education is. So we make a very short report, but we create a conference. It was the first virtual marine educators conference in Latin America. So we collect all the ideas and experience, and we share, and they connect between them also. More than 500 members participate to this conference, and thanks to this report, we have a very a small idea to what are the barriers and what are the needs that we have in marine education in Latin America. So during this year, we have been also working so hard in trying to get funds to continue with the network, but also trying to make visible our job, our work in policy making decisions or tables where decisions are making. So I want to say that thanks to all this process, now we are 1,000 people, 1,000 members on the network. So this is a lot of people, and I'm so happy because we start to make visible all those initiatives and members from Latin America who are making a great job in marine education. And our next steps are, we have to formalize the network because we are many countries involved in the network, so we have to look for the figure that fits to us. And also we have to raise funding, as everybody on the house. But in our mind is the idea of create the second conference, but the first that will be in person, where we can be all together for some days and we can share our knowledge and our experience and ideas. So we also trust that how much needed to develop to capacity development activities, not only with teachers, but also with people who want to enroll in marine education. And we really trust that it's so needed to work with government because of to try to bring this ocean to the curriculum, but also start to participate in the marine protected areas decision and the activities that where marine educations will be needed, but we want to include the opinion of marine educators from the beginning of these strategies and these activities. And for all of that, we also trust that it's so necessary to make more research about marine education and to validate methodologies and to demonstrate the impact of those activities. So I really want to thank you for the opportunity to share Relato with all of you. Are you recording? So maybe we can say hello to all the people who is watching us from Latin America. So hello. And
hello.
we maybe are just 3 or 4, but I'm happy just to saying hello. So thank you so much, and thanks a lot for the invitation.
Yeah, Ronaldo, Christopher,
So, hello everybody. So, I'm Ronaldo Cristofletti from Brazil. I share with Yolanda the honor to be here, and also someone from the Global South, increasing this collaboration in this discussion. And starting quickly for the Our Atlantic Blue Schools Network, because I'm representing here 2 big networks. The Our Atlantic Blue Schools is a network within the Our Atlantic Ocean Research Alliance that was created last year and integrating 15 countries working with schools from North, South, East, and West Atlantic. It has been an incredible experience learning with all those experiences, and the contribution we want to bring for the next conference as well is all those learnings, how increasing this diversity can increase our citizenship, can increase our science, can increase many values in these ocean literacy actions that we do in large scale. But also, I'm glad to be here representing the Ocean Literacy with You All program. That is the Ocean Literacy program led by IOC-UNESCO, the official program for the UN Ocean Decade. That has many collaborators all here represented. And the Ocean Literacy with You All program, let's understand why having it. And you just need to go back for a very important thing we started today. Ocean literacy is the central pillar of the UN Ocean Decade. And that's not Ronaldo saying, that was saying by Peter Thompson and Vladimir. If ocean literacy is the central pillar of the UN Ocean Decade, and it has been increasing in the last years and 2 decades, as has been showing here in all the videos and all the speakers before, and you come later, that means we need a program that brings everybody together, all the networks, all the ideas, all the diversity, and can lead in a global way what giving more opportunity, strength, and visibility for the local actions. While our decisions as UN Ocean Decade is always in global level, but actually is the actions locally from any organization, any school, any government, any company that makes the difference. So the Ocean Literacy for All program has different areas of interest. We work with research in ocean literacy, capacity building, resources, materials that you all need, and as a more new area, we still lack a lot, and building global networks that brings this diversity, recognizes what we have, and increases and gives visibilities. And with one important point in our name, this program is not for all, it's with all. The Ocean Literacy with All program is willing and working with every single stakeholder, citizen, companies, governments, schools, educators, and so on. Everybody, you have this space. Where we are now just to end up, so the program was approved last year. We are still in a phase of organizing, planning it, and doing our planning. It's not easy as well planning a global program like this, and during a pandemic time, as all of you also faced. So we are planning, and very soon, this event and many actions this week are part of this, and we invite you all to follow the Ocean Literacy Portal from UNESCO and take a look, because soon we might then give more information and how colleagues can join or interact and so on. So that's where we are now, and it's a pleasure to represent you all here. Thank you.
So, Olga Moschina, the For Ocean Coalition that was set up by DG Mare.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you very much, Francesca, and all of you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I am very happy and honored to speak on behalf of the EU for Ocean Coalition. It's a coalition is rather young, and we have already many members, and I speak on behalf of some of you are here, the members, and you've been following us this last 2.5 years, and you've seen already 2 videos earlier today, one of which explained very much the story behind, so I don't need to repeat, because it was beautifully said by the members and the coordinators themselves. And the second film is even more, is even better describes the spirit of the coalition, because we finally met in Ravenna at EMD, European Maritime Day, just a month ago, and first time when people, the members, got to see each other, got to hug each other, got to do things together, and you see the energy is amazing. And I think I'm not the first one who's speaking about the energy, because the energy of the ocean literacy family is amazing, and we feel it, and it's really dear to us. And I think this is the first time we're releasing this film today, and it really brings a lot of emotions back to me, and maybe to all of you who have been there, or those who haven't been there, you can feel it. So I don't repeat what we are. We are growing. We have 3 communities and many, many members. And the question is now, what is next? What are the challenges, and where we'd like to put efforts and priorities in the next years and during the next 8.5 years that we were talking earlier today. So we would like to continue growing, but we want to make this growth sustainable. So we need to think how to work with the coalition in terms of governance, how we organize our activities, how we bring the collective actions together of all these 3 communities. And here I'm very happy that we're the youngest coalition, but we have the experience of all the previous ones who have had some experience, and we're looking forward to exchanging on that and working more closely and to understand how to make it, to ensure that we grow, and we grow in a sustainable way, and we connect and we do things collectively. Second thing that was also mentioned already here by others, that what coalitions do, and ours is also one of them, is we would like to contribute and mainstream ocean literacy in different policies. So it's one of the objectives and one of the things we would like to do. That it relates to all the marine policies, the blue economy, climate change. We work with educational policies. We were talking about it earlier today too, and of course the youth. And here that means that we would need to establish synergies with not only with ocean literacy, but we extend it to the climate literacy, environmental literacy, and we actually can talk about the sustainability literacy, if I can say that. And also, the last but not the least, there are many, of course, things we will be working on, but something that I want to highlight to you as maybe the third one that jumps in mind is we are talking about how ocean literacy is emotions. It's something that is, we all need to connect to the ocean, to have this connection. So it goes through the heart, it goes through the emotions, what we feel, and when we're passionate, we do things. And nowadays, world is a bit challenging place, and I think we all would need to see how to ocean literacy in all these different senses can help us to overcome and support the transition that we all need. And now here being in Lisbon here with all of you, it also makes me think that the European ocean literacy goes back few years ago. So coalition is young, but it goes back quite a few years ago, as we saw in the film. And the ocean dialogues that we organize now with you, it's even the name goes back to the event that we had in 2019. We were co-organized also with IOC-UNESCO, and we had many of you, I see the faces from different part of the world, and it made me think that we are one family. It's very good to see each other again, and somebody put it in the plenary that we are here in the right place, right time, and we do now the right actions. And we still need a lot to do. And one of our campaign is, well, the campaign that we have at the Youth for Ocean is Let's Make Europe Blue. But I would like to finish my statement but say, let's make the world bluer.
So, now, thank you very much. So now that you have made the round the world several times along the networks that are part of these side events, maybe it's time to call the other panel, Francesca.
Yes, thank you very much, Anna. So now we have been hearing a lot about we are a family with our community, and it's good to also hear perspectives from different sectors, because again, we want to move forward and we want to make sure that all the voices and perspectives are heard. So I'm very pleased to welcome on stage Ana Luisa Thompson-Flores, Director of the UNESCO Regional Bureau for Science and Culture in Europe, Daniele Moretti, Editor-in-Chief of Sky TG24, Daniel Bowie McDonald from the Aberdeen from the finance sector, and Patricia Furtado, founder of Aqua Mater. So the question for you is really how your different perspectives. What are the perspectives that we can bring on the table to really move forward? We have said this many times. I mean, we have seen all the wonderful things that we have been able to achieve, but still, as Peter Thompson said, ocean economy is quite popular now, but ocean literacy is lagging behind, and this is undermining ocean sustainability and equity. So it's a very important topic. So what can we do to get to the next UN Ocean Conference with ocean literacy featuring very highly on the agenda? And I will start by Ana Luisa.
Thank you. I was expecting Daniele, actually, to be the first. Well, Francesca, I think that's a very, very important question, and actually it's a question that we discuss on I'd say a weekly basis, since you are the person in the office responsible for ocean literacy. And I think it's incredible to see the network that we've seen since this morning. I mean, it's an incredible network. You guys are passionate, you're emotional, yes, I can see you there with some sparkle and some, yeah! No, it's truly impressive, especially for somebody like me who is not part of the community in study. In heart, yes, but not in mind. I mean, I didn't study environmental scientist, nor am I a marine biologist, nor am I a surfer, you know. I'm the one that usually lies in the sand of my own hometown, which is Rio de Janeiro. But anyway, I think the thing here, if I may, is that when I started working with Francesca was to see that ocean literacy seems to still be around ocean science, which is extremely important. I mean, you cannot do ocean literacy without a very big component of passionate ocean scientists. But I think it needs to, and I've heard it before today, actually, Peter Thompson said it, some of you said it, I think it has to evolve towards also ocean knowledge. And as somebody recently said, not information, but transformation. I think that's the key to start working and recognizing that the ocean is also part of many other fields. I mean, it's part of art, it's part of history, it's part of tangible and intangible culture, it's part of geopolitics. It's a subject, it's an entity, it's part of us. And I think we need to communicate that more and more and more. And if I had to think of something, and I actually like very much that I have the three people here that actually represent everything I believe in, is that we need to more and more partner, not just for funding. I know funding is a big issue. We are competing with you guys for funding too. But I think it's not just the funding aspect with the private. It's the fact that they are great communicators. They know the people in the world. They communicate messages in the private that we are much better, that they are much better at than we are. So I think the partnership with people in the finance world, the partnership with people in media who are great communicators. I mean, that's what they do. Partnership with the arts, with those that were artists and now, you know, fight passionately for their, I think that's the key. I think we have to, as a community, recognize that we are very important as scientists, but that we need to partner more and more with educators, and we have now at least 3 of the various partners that we need. And so on that note, I'd like to pass the microphone. May I? Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, Daniele.
Well, talking about communication, that's what I do for a living. So I'm a journalist, and my different angle is the one who put all his effort to communicate. And the media means that I am in the middle, literally, and in the middle in this process between the knowledge and hopefully the awareness and then the action, which is the ultimate goal that it's 2 days I'm keeping listening, and this is maybe what I can talk about, because I'm not really into the whole family while I feel a little bit inside myself to be part of it. But what I can say is that encountering the ocean literacy for me professionally meant an improvement, a big improvement in my strive for representing the ocean science. We as journalists are not an expert. I'm not an expert. I will never feel like an expert. And I need the help of the expert and find the right information, find the right people, the right sources, is what ocean literacy for me has meant in all this process. Was like a portal. This is the expression I used in a panel just a couple of hours before, talking with other journalists, and that's what counts for me. Having the right information, put them into the right order, and then help even the scientist I'm relating to improve his kind of communication. And I guess this is the right way to reach the goals.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'm really pleased to give the floor to Daniel Bowie-MacDonald from Aberdeen, and to bring the perspective of the finance sector. We met because I wanted to design a training, an ocean literacy training for the finance sector, and really talking to Daniel, it was really insightful and really helped us shaping this training for the sector. And I think we were able to really bring you the ocean literacy family into your family. So please, Daniel.
Yeah, thank you very much. I feel very much an adopted member of the family now, so thank you. So that's very kind. I mean, I'm sure some of you are wondering, well, one, who are Aberdeen? We're an investment house based in the UK. Why is an investment house sitting on the panel here today? And in fact, it's in part thanks to Anna Louisa and, of course, Francesca and many others. My organization has signed a partnership with UNESCO to work on a range of environmental projects, and it's been great because the very first thing that we've been able to work on together has in fact been ocean literacy. And what that has been is the sharing of time and expertise and passion, actually. And that's been a really wonderful start to what I hope is an incredibly fruitful partnership that we can have together. So on a personal note, just thank you all very much. It's wonderful to be here. It's great to be in front of you all. I think it's really, really inspiring what many of you are doing. I know my colleagues feel very, very similarly. I had the privilege within my own organization just recently. We have an environmental champions network of 150 people, and they've been very excited about this, and I was able to talk to them about a lot of the work that we've been doing together, and they've been looking through your modules now, I'm very pleased to say. So that's been really, really good. On a more kind of professional angle, I think the thing that's worth bearing in mind and why this is so important to my industry is that our ultimate goal as investors is to try to meet the financial goals of our clients. And part of that process requires us, of course, to invest in companies. That's fundamentally what it is that we're trying to do. And a big part of that overall consideration is trying to determine whether or not a company is acting responsibly. And of course, if you're a long-term investor, do companies or whole sectors sometimes have a sustainable relationship with the environment? Because if they don't have a sustainable relationship with the environment, then they're probably not a sustainable business. So it's really, really important that we understand all of these connections and all of these mechanisms. They're absolutely key. And I don't know if I'm necessarily representative of people in my industry, but before I began working with Francesca and her team on this module, I really didn't understand all that much. I would consider myself to have been ocean illiterate. I probably still am, but I can at least speak a little bit of the language now at least, which is good. So I'm beginning to close that information gap, which I think absolutely does exist. And it really was quite a stunning thing to me just to appreciate just how interconnected the ocean was with things like climate change. And I've been spending a lot of time talking about climate change from an investment point of view, but I didn't necessarily understand those linkages or how important it is to the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, really, the list just goes on and on and on. And that's been a really stunning realization for me. And I suspect very strongly that many people in my industry, in my company, are in a similar position. And at the end of the day, we don't know what we don't know. And if we can draw these linkages out, we can better understand the companies that we're investing in. So I guess from a very finance-specific point of view, a very important part of what I would hope that you would all look to do if you're researchers, scientists, the deep experts in this field, is try to understand the way that the investment community or the finance sector in general views the world and try to learn each other's language in the way that we've had to do to make this all very relatable and real for us, because that really maximizes the impact, I think, of what we can do. So I will leave it there, but thank you very much. It really is an honor to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So many people have been talking about the fact that we need to reestablish our emotional connection with the ocean, because we have been hearing a lot that what drives us are emotions, actually. So I'm really happy now to give the floor to my friend, Patricia Furtado, who really uses, I would say, her art to help people reconnect with the ocean. So please, Patricia.
Thank you, Francesca. And it's impossible not to repeat that I'm really, really happy and honored to be here within this ocean literacy family. And I used to say I'm not an oceanographer, a biologist, I'm not a marine educator, stricto sensu, but I have an artistic background and my heart is really one with the ocean. So that's what makes me, why I feel so happy to talk about arts and community engagement. And this topic is so huge for me that I was afraid of losing the focus. So I decided to write a little text, and I want to read it to you, something I wrote between last night and today. Today, in the morning, I have participated at another event organized by Francesca Santoro, but in partnership with Prada Group, a very beautiful ocean literacy project called Sea Beyond. I have moderated the event and interviewed its jury members during the last weeks. And one of them is an Italian photographer called Enzo Baracco. During our interview, we have talked a lot about art as a catalyzer for social change. Through his art, Enzo wants to touch people's heart and to create environmental awareness, inviting them to take action, since action is what we need for the changes we dream to see. Art was already part of humans' expressions when written languages were not consolidated yet, when science, religion, magic, and arts were sharing common territories among traditional communities in different geographies of our planet. Art is a way to communicate. It is a language with its own signs. Tribal dances, body and cave paintings, planting and harvesting songs, or fertility sculptures, for example, were, and in certain cultures still are, a way to communicate and to engage local communities in activities that are pivotal for their collective life. The word art comes from the Latin ars, which literally means technique, natural ability, capacity of doing something. Its original meaning in Sanskrit was to go, to move forward someone. This meaning is so inspiring for me. Art is something that moves me in all senses. It affects me, even in the sense of affection. In our environment, we are used to listen that we need to move from raise awareness into take action. And of course, I agree with that. But I would suggest to include another movement to this approach, a prior movement. What could come before, so that this awareness goes beyond the rational level that drives us into the practical level? Yes, the emotional level, as Francesca said. And here we're talking about feelings, I'm convinced that most of the time, our feelings are able to move us so powerfully that the actions that originate from them can have a bigger impact than those which result from our rational level, the conscious level. We are used to think that art is just a result, something or a product that we can sell or buy. But it can be also a vehicle to make possible the impossible. We cannot forget that science, it's not just about natural science. It is also about human and social sciences. If we want to inspire and to engage more and more people and communities around the world in our ocean literacy dialogues, programs, and actions, we must consider the art as a fundamental vehicle to educate and to achieve our shared goals. But, most of all, to light the flame that will guide us in the direction of that bigger flame, the sun, light, to illuminate our path, especially when we are emerging from the depths of ourselves, from the depths of our inner ocean, from the depths of the bigger blue ocean that we all love so much, and that we do our best to protect, inspiring and engaging all those around us. Thank you.
So thank you very much to this first round of panels. So we are now calling new members of our panel on future of ocean literacy, and I'm really happy to welcome on stage Patricia Conceição from the Escola Azul network, who is also speaking on behalf of Raquel Costa. And I also invite Marcos Liborio, Secretary for the Environment of the City of Santos, who was the first one in the world to sign a law on ocean literacy. An applause for this. And then I'm calling Diana Payne from NMEA, and again, this Glidero from the Canadian Ocean Literacy Coalition. So again, you're here to bring other perspectives and help us shaping this roadmap for the future. And so we have here from education, local government, research. So really all the elements that we need to be able to create this path for all of us. So I would like to start with Patricia, and also from my side, really congratulate you and Raquel for the amazing work that you do in bringing the Blue Schools from Portugal to the rest of the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Francesca, and thank you very much for the invitation. And I would just like to quickly dive in the past and congratulate everyone here, because Blue Schools started 5 years ago, just after the first conference, where ocean literacy was not in the agenda and was not mentioned. We're not in the agenda this year, but we were mentioned everywhere, and not here, but there in the big pavilion. And so I'm sure we'll be in the agenda in 4 years or 3 years. So from the point of view of the education, we think we have to use this conference boost, and it has started somewhere, but try to put ocean literacy in the curricula in the next 3 years, everywhere we can. And we already have the Blue Curriculum, the toolkit for policymakers, and so this can be the perfect tool to begin to try working the curricula in the ocean literacy in the curricula. So this is the first document that merged ocean literacy, and the more recent international education frameworks like the education in the 21st century, the sustainable development education, and education for citizenship. And these frameworks change the paradigm of education from knowledge-centered learning to skills and more competence-centered approaches, which is ideal for the point of view of blue education, because the objective of ocean literacy is to give voice to the people, and in this case to the students, to give them the opportunity to communicate, to be able to think critically and to reflect on what they do. But for this to happen, we have to be able to make this toolkit available to decisors. How do we do that? That's the one thing that we don't have an answer to, but it's up to all of us that work with networks of schools to try to do it. And we think that probably the toolkit for policymakers must be translated to use all around the globe, and should be used as a working document in groups that should include, if possible, not only ocean literacy experts, but also curricula developers, teachers and students who should be brought to the process, and also the education authorities, of course. And besides this, if we get to put ocean curricula in the ocean literacy in the curricula, we also must bet in teacher training. We think that this is paramount, because teachers are the ones that put the curricula in action, and we can never forget that, okay? And a lot of teachers, not all, but a lot of teachers need knowledge, need the confidence, and need the tools to be able to put ocean literacy in the classrooms. Now, from an experience point of view, in Blue School we use more than an holistic approach to ocean literacy instead of only a scientific approach. And we really believe that this is important because the ocean can be explored in a very transdisciplinary way, using culture and background and values and history and local traditions, and that's very important, as well as art. Patricia was just talking about that. And because knowledge is the base, but not the only thing, students must take action, okay? That's the only possible way of making them ocean literates. So we think that we should include also education for citizenship in this big picture, because that way is the way for them to take action and empower the students. And finally, we can put ocean literacy in the curricula, okay, but we must not forget the importance of connecting emotionally with the ocean. So as Valentina was saying this morning in the Sea Beyond event, we can talk all we want about the ocean, but we cannot just talk. We have to take the students to the ocean and let them connect. And so we think it's very important also to take students out of school, involve the local communities, involve the stakeholders that are a major part of ocean literacy in schools, and let the students develop projects, collaborations, and let them do their work. Yes, and that's our idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. I will now give the floor to Marcos Liborio, and I take this opportunity to thank him again, because thanks to you, we were able to translate the Ocean Literacy Toolkit into Portuguese, And now, you know, you are one of our heroes because you were able to have a law, an ocean literacy law. So bring us the perspective of what cities can do to help us.
Oh, thank you, Francesca. It's an honor to be here representing Santos, São Paulo, Brazil. We have a lot of job to do, and we only follow you and admire your job. And in Santos, we have a lot of things to do. And if, first of all, I don't know if somebody here knows Santos, I don't know, but Santos is a beautiful place to live. And we have beautiful beaches and good people. And we have to talk about it. And if we together really want significant changes in respect for the health of the oceans, we need to act immediately. We have to recognize our position and assume responsibilities, governance, and goals as a public managers. I don't know if it's different in other places on Italian, but in Brazil, everything happens in the municipalities. Everything happens in municipalities. People live in municipalities, and everyone expects answers from the municipal governments. Santos, like I said, was the first city in the world to introduce ocean literacy in public schools. It was amazing for us. It was amazing. But we need more. Taking actions is very different from changing a culture. Before us, Santos was never recognized as a city concerned with the sea and the health of the oceans. And when you ask me, what you have been doing in Santos? Legislation, good programs, good projects, qualified dialogues. I can answer yes to all these questions. However, I need to emphasize our strategy adopted in last years of government. We unite people with genuine interest, really satisfied with reality, with access to research, who believe in science and seek to leave a legacy. And from now on, what will you do? You send me a message, don't talk about the past, but let's see the future. And I'm here trying to do. I'm a politician. If you leave me here, I could talk about it. I have a large speech here. But, like Danielle said, communication. The ocean will invade Santos and stay. We think about it. The ocean will invade Santos and stay. The ocean needs to be in the daily lives of residents and tourists. We will create the Blue Communicator Awards to recognize the company and outstanding journalistic responsibilities. Cultures. The ocean is the protagonist. Arts, cinema, music, fashion, gastronomy, photography, and digital media has to put the ocean the protagonism. Science. The ocean from the laboratory to the citizen, research, results, and why not hackathons? We only value what we know. Economy. Sustainability is blue and liquid. Such we work on commerce, industry, and services to redefine the relationship between natural, capital, and consumption. The economy we practice for the ocean we want. Sports, Santos by the ocean, Santos pelo oceano. We have to promote growing involvement of society through nautical service. Education, transversal for all and with all, like Ronaldo said. We will support the creation of the Educator Ocean Award to encourage the engagement. Metaverse. We have to create a virtual space to dive into the ocean, gamification. Probably we know more about the surface of the moon than our coastline. Future, you have to think in young leaders. We have to encourage and rescue the faith that it's possible to do. I'm from Santos, where the oceans begins. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Diana and Diz, you will bring the research perspective. We have heard before in some other side events that we need to be able to measure the impacts of what we do. We need to be able to develop new methods and approaches for behavioral change. So what can we do in the future to really be able to show that ocean literacy is in itself a research discipline, and how we can also create a community of researchers around this topic?
Thank you, Francesca, and you're absolutely right. And so Diz and I are going to tag team this. So I'm going to set some context about ocean literacy. Diz will share some key research results, and then I'll finish up with some key points. So many of you, as we already know, are familiar with the definition of ocean literacy, and understanding the ocean's influence on you and your influence on the ocean. But the complete definition is actually multifaceted. There's a little bit more to it, and it includes not only knowledge, but also the ability to communicate about the ocean in a meaningful way and make informed and responsible decisions about the ocean and its resources. This platform has served our community well for decades. Throughout this time, we have talked with others about expanding our efforts. We must integrate multiple contexts into our shared work: culture, economics, policy, traditional knowledge, and geography among them. We shall learn from diverse perspectives, value systems, and ways of knowing. We can co-identify and co-develop ways to continue our progress. But the core of our work must include ocean literacy research to truly make a difference and move our field forward. Meeting Ocean Decade outcomes and overcoming challenges requires interaction with people on a global scale to get buy-in. But how do we know which strategies work? What approaches are effective with different groups of people? For the Ocean Decade to truly succeed, we need to meet people where they are. If we are to fundamentally transform humanity's relationship with the ocean, ocean literacy and ocean literacy research must be the foundation.
Great. Thanks, Diana, and hello again. I'd like to just start for the first 30 seconds to share a personal formative moment in my work with ocean literacy over the last few years in Canada, because one, I think it links to research. Two, it's a missing perspective that hasn't been brought up tonight that I think we need to all hold space for. And that's, I had the privileged opportunity of co-authoring an article with two Indigenous elders, both women, both giants. And it was on exploring the term ocean literacy and on what, in fact, it means to have a civic relationship with the ocean. And both of them, in different words, said the same thing to me, and humbling. They said, you know, basically ocean literacy is a modern term for something that Indigenous people have known for thousands of years. And then they went on to say that the ocean literacy movement, you know, is many ways, it's a modern intervention for non-Indigenous people to catch up to where we're at. And I think we need to, I always circle back to that when I come into conversations like this to ensure that I enter into conversations about the future of ocean literacy movement in a good way. So I'll just share that. In terms of research, it's essential to have ocean literacy research supported as much as ocean literacy practice, because it's only through research where we'll know of what's working and what's not working. And how do we, like, what do we know, that the approaches, the experiences, the conditions that are actually fostering agency, that are driving behavior change, that is influencing policy. We need to know what's working and what's not, so that we can scale up what's working and we can pivot and reimagine what's not working. And so I think there's so much good ocean literacy research to shine a light on, and I'm by no means a leading expert in it, and I can't, because of time, and I'm watching the monitor, shine a light on all of it, but I'm just going to pick a couple very recent things so that they can give us, I think, a sense of where we're going as a community. In 2019, some research was done by Caroline Brennan in Ireland and UK researchers around unpacking, like, what are the dimensions of ocean literacy? It's so much more than knowledge. They came up with 6. There's work being done right now that it's identifying upwards to 9 or 10 dimensions of ocean literacy, and to look at that through a systems thinking lens. I think that's breakthrough research for us. I think another, there's Ocean Conservation Trust, Nicola there, front row, incredible work her team and fellow researchers like Emma McKinley are doing, and the DEFRA report that came out that looked, they did a very comprehensive evidence synthesis on ocean literacy and ocean climate behavior change. And they looked at literature over the decades, from climate literacy, from public perception theory, from behavior change, psychology, looking across all different bodies of literature to get a better sense of what is working, what drives behavior change, and then to pull out of that some policy recommendations to guide future work. Very impressive body of work. I think also too, we can look back to the International Ocean Literacy Survey, where Craig Strang and Geraldine Faville were amongst the leading researchers. And that was an instrument that really helped measure a very specific dimension of ocean literacy, which is ocean science knowledge. And a great starting tool. And I think that's inspired future tools. And the UK is just wrapping up the publication of 8,000 people across England and Wales who participated in a new survey instrument that's measuring multiple dimensions of ocean literacy. And that's what we did in Canada too. And I'm sure neither one of us got it right exactly, but I think it's encouraging to see new instruments that we can share with other countries and together strengthen around ocean perceptions, ocean values, ocean behaviors, you know, and we need to measure multiple dimensions. And we need to have instruments that can be adaptive and responsive to different places, to different cultures, because there's no one way to do ocean literacy. There's no silver bullet. And I think lastly, which is very inspiring and something I've been a part of and just a pleasure to be a part of, is at the First Decade Laboratory last July, a year ago, a group of researchers came together recognizing that we're a pretty fragmented ocean literacy research community. We're each kind of working in our own silos, but asking a lot of the same questions and trying to figure out the same stuff, but on our own. And so we came together to develop a series of workshops, of which the first one took place at the laboratory, to co-develop a global ocean literacy research program for the decade. And since that first workshop, where we used Esri's story mapping to do kind of a crowdsourced stock take of all the ocean literacy research that we were collectively aware of. We had 132 researchers self-identify to be a part of it. That's by no means everyone, but it's a good first step. We met again in November, and we co-mapped what we saw as research priorities and gaps. We met again in April, and we started to self-organize around 4 key research areas: measuring ocean literacy and climate change, ocean literacy as a policy tool, and ocean literacy in the sustainable blue economy. And then across all 4 of those is the cross-cutting theme of justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so now that community is moving into starting to actually implement action research projects, which we hope will have a next workshop in Brazil. We'll hear a little bit more about what's coming up in Brazil. And then the final kind of workshop to wrap up the series in Canada at Impact 5 in February. So it gives you a taste of where we're going. We've got a lot of work to do, and it's open. So anyone who self-identifies as having a research, an interest or an expertise to join the ocean literacy research community. Thanks so much.
I'm just going to wrap up quickly with a few key points that Diz and I talked about. So 3 of them are related to ocean literacy research, and the last 2 are kind of for everyone to do. The ocean literacy research community, as Diz mentioned to date, is a very small, fragmented group of individual resources. With our partners in Ocean Literacy with All and the Global Ocean Literacy Research Community, we have a basic roadmap of where we want to go, but we still have a lot of work to do. In addition to quantitative methods, which include surveys mostly, we need to tell the stories, we need to do the qualitative assessments as well. We can combine those 2 methods and try and get some longitudinal studies. Those are very hard to do, they're very complex, and they cost a lot of money. To date, everything that we've done is individual researchers have really had to find their own funding. And sorry, Daniel, to kind of tag on this one again, but to do all that we have outlined and to do it really, really well, we require significant funding. And I keep thinking, like SDG 14, they keep telling us how underfunded it is. Ocean literacy is particularly underfunded, and I would suggest that ocean literacy research is also very underfunded. And in conclusion, the last two things I want to discuss is that we need to convince potential partners of the critical importance of everything that we do in terms of ocean literacy. We need allies in all sectors, in everything that's happening, to recognize the value of all of this ocean literacy work that we're doing and to support it. And finally, this is on all of us in the room, all of you watching. It's about collaboration, sharing findings and recommendations, and like SDG 17, it's all about partnerships to meet our goals.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all the panelists and the first half of the panel and the second half of the panel. So this is a very passionate community, as you have been able to see already. So of course we are late. So we will not have space for questions, unfortunately, because there are other events here. But we will be together with in the atrium, I guess, for a small light dinner. So we will be able to exchange. And also, just before coming here, we asked people ideas on how we can move forward. So we will, and I promise here, we will create a space on the Ocean Literacy portal to keep on this discussion. And before closing, I promised to give the floor to Gail and Rita to announce two important things. So Gail?
Sorry, you have to have a...
Thank you, Francesca, and thank you, Anna. It's really been a privilege to sit here this evening and listen to everything that's going on. It's just amazing. And being maybe one of the older people in this room, to see how far things have come in the last 30 years is incredibly inspiring. So I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to tell you about the Global Ocean Science Education Workshops. Peter Tuttendam from the College of Exploration and Tina Bishop from the College of Exploration and I, with my executive director of the COSI Network hat on, founded these workshops in 2015. We identified a set of priorities for ocean science education across the world, bringing together for the first time policymakers, business leaders, ocean scientists, and education professionals. And then with Francesca's help and partnering with her in 2016, we enhanced those priorities, and I have to say congratulations to Francesca because every single one of them has now been met. It's an absolute miracle. And in 2023 in May, we are going to be having the next Global Ocean Science Education Workshop. We're focusing the next efforts of our community on a series of workshops that focus on human influences on the ocean. And the 2023 workshop will focus on underwater sound, how people produce and use sound underwater, and how animals produce and use sound underwater, and how that all works together. We'll also be dealing with ocean plastics in 2023 through a series of online events, but the workshop in May is in person at the University of Rhode Island Graduate School of Oceanography in Rhode Island in the USA. And there's some postcards on the table out there if you're interested, or you can see Peter, Tina, or I at the break. Thank you very much.
Is Rita here? Because here.
You have to use this because we are transmitting, otherwise those who follow online don't hear us.
Thank you. So I just would like to add the perspective of philanthropy and the foundations, as I'm working at the Oceano Azul Foundation, and to say that for us, education is key, and we really need to empower blue generation, but we also need to think that we need to, in order to transform a society, we need to do this at a large scale, and with, to empower citizens to really act and to impact the change. And so, another thing that is important in the future, if we think in front of us, is to bring the education policymakers on board to this discussion. And so, it was already said that emotional connection is really important, and we agree with this. And there are a lot of good examples of really transformative experiences, but also at a larger scale we have the aquarium. And the aquariums are very important to create wonder and wow, and for people that are not used to live and to dive into the ocean. And for instance, 10% of the European population visits one aquarium per year. And this is really significant when you have 140 aquariums and that touch more than, if I'm not wrong, 72 million people per year. So this is really powerful to also connect people with the ocean. And the other thing is that foundations can go further and have the ability to really implement very structured programs that can have impact in not just touch and go actions, but also touch and stay. So one single student should know and learn about the ocean several times in each year in different disciplines in a very structured way. And this is something that foundations can do. And so in order to influence students, but also the education system, both with teachers, we can help providing teachers training, but also the policy making and bringing the CV, the ocean into the CV. And this is what our objective, that's what we are doing. We have, but if we want, just another thing, if we want to bring and to show that this works to policymakers, to education policymakers, we need to evaluate and to show the results. And this is what we're doing, and I'm pleased to talk and share with anyone that is interested in knowing what we're doing.
Thank you all very much. It was amazing to hear all of you. It was really inspiring. We have a lot of things to do, starting from tomorrow, I would say. And we also, I mean, the ocean literacy dialogues don't end here. So we already have a next stop in Brazil, in Santos. So hopefully you will all be there, because we need ocean literacy for all and with all. And I leave the floor to our wonderful host, Ana Noronha.
Well, just to close and to invite, for those of you who want to see the screening of the new documentary by Ricardo Gomes, The Urban Rivers, it will be screened after this session. That's why we have to leave this auditorium. And you are all invited to meet Ricardo in the atrium. And if you want then to follow, well, if there is enough place, room for everybody, because Ricardo is a well-known director, very famous, and I'm sure there are lots of people coming to see him. So thank you very much, and let's work in the next 8 years and a half.